Great to have you here. Now, 2 years after the rollout of government's Planting for Food and Jobs program, some farmers are lamenting a number of feed-in challenges where the policy remain unresolved. They point to the low number of agric extension services and delays in the supply of inputs as some of the challenges militating against the program's success. Though the program has helped boost yields, the farmers want the challenges resolved. Henry Kwesi Bedu of our Agric and Technology Desk has more.
Agriculture has for years been described as the backbone of Ghana's economy. Crops including cocoa and oil palm form the base of agriculture in the country's economy. The sector also employs over 50% of Ghana's labor force. However, over the past decade, the performance of the agriculture sector has been on a decline, with most farmers aging by the day and the negative perception associated with the sector. There needed to be a strategy to help boost agriculture in Ghana.
The importance of agriculture and by extension, planting for food and jobs is clear to my government. The Planting for Food and Jobs program is expected to increase the production of maize by 30%, rice by 49%, soybean by 25%, and sorghum by 28% from current production levels.
The implementation of a Planting for Food and Jobs policy was geared towards increasing food productivity to ensure food security for the country. A campaign which called on all Ghanaians to be either full-time or part-time farmers. Many Ghanaian farmers accepted the policy in earnest. Under this program, farmers are supplied inputs half the price. They are expected to pay the other half of the cost of inputs once they harvest and sell. This year will be the third planting season since the implementation in April 2017. To assess the performance of the program, the agricultural desk of JoyNews took a trip to the Shai Osudoku district of the eastern region, where there are over 3,000 registered Planting for Food and Jobs beneficiaries.
The total area cultivated under these two programs is 1,009. Initially, we registered 2,143 farmers, but at the end of the program, we realized that 3,484 farmers participated.
Robert Agokachi is a farmer in the village of Dedenya. He cultivates maize and pepper and says the yield this year was far better than it was in the last planting season. Here at his place, dehusking, threshing and winnowing amongst others are all done manually with the help of his family.
We don't have anybody here to employ to help us on the farm. And then that's why I have to involve my family during the transporting of these goods to the house. And then dehusking, like the corn you see right now, I have to dehusk it with my children. And then trash it with them again using these yellow gallons, pounding it, and then I have to lift it and wait for the wind. When the wind doesn't blow, you can't remove the chaff from it.
His only worry was the invasion of the fall armyworms that destroyed portions of his farm.
The worry of the fall armyworm. And we also pray that if they can help us with a way, and a better way of spraying these worms, maybe some machines that can come to our farms and then help us spray these worms, it will help us. Because sometimes it may take about 2 or 3 days for myself to finish an armyworm, and by the time I finish, where I started from, I have to go back again. But if a machine can come one day and spray everything at a goal, and then I think it will help us so that all the worms will die at once, and then none will be there to relay eggs and then re-affect our crops.
Still in the Dedenya exclave, I meet a female beneficiary, Zega Justine, a mother of 4. She's been farming for over 30 years. Her 14-acre maize and okra farmland is just 100 meters away from her farmhouse. Inadequate moisture in the soil on Justine's farm means cultivation at this time of the year would not be a good idea. She, however, appeals to government to extend its One Village, One Dam project to her village to support irrigational agriculture.
So we are encouraging government with this good work. We need tractors and pesticides because we are unable to afford them. Food security is very critical for the nation. They should pay attention to the agri sector and help solve the major challenges we face. We also need dams. Our roads are also terrible. We plead with government to come to our aid.
My next stop is Manya Jopanya. Seth Nyangma is a commercial mango farmer and a beneficiary of a Planting for Food and Jobs program. But he too got some maize seeds to intercrop with the mango. The inputs provided boosted yield, he says.
To talk about the planting for food, where we went in for maize, for example, I personally planted just 10 acres in my area. And I mean, it's been tremendous. At least for the last 2 years, for my household, we have never bought any maize for food. And for my workers, we've not bought any maize for food. It's been maize sufficient.
He, however, complains about encroachment on his land.
It's unfortunate chiefs don't really understand the fact that industries depends on agriculture. And they just come, demarcate, and they sell. And especially in the Greater Accra region, we are getting to a point where really agriculture is threatened.
Ernest Lawe is an extension officer at the Doyumu Aikuma operational area. Because of the increase in the number of farmers benefiting from the Planting for Food and Jobs program, more extension service workers are needed, he says.
But the issue is now the extension officer is having a lot of farmers. Maybe the ratio may be one extension officer is taking care of 1,005 farmers. And that extension officer is not having motorbike to go around and maybe talk to the farmers as well. So it has become a big challenge. Even it's a national issue that all the extension officers are talking about, how they can get motorbike and easily get to the farmers for the farmers to also benefit from that.
I continued my tour to the Shai area precisely as to try. At the Kpong irrigation scheme, all rice farmers here are beneficiaries of the government's flagship policy. Although some farmers who spoke to us admitted the experienced increase in yield, they say they had difficulties accessing the subsidized fertilizers.
Earlier, the fertilizer was given to a dealer, which by October, it tells you whatever was given to you has finished. And the people, the farmers, they themselves go in and search for fertilizer. We are pleading so that if the fertilizer is given to, let's say, KIS or the Poor Irrigation Scheme, where we will just walk with your money and go and buy it, I think it is also going to help.
Only we need the fertilizer should be there early for us to start the cropping season as early as possible.
A senior extension officer, Solomon Bueno, confirms rice yields increased from an average of 3.8 metric tons to 5.0 metric tons per hectare, but wants government to help reduce importation of rice to facilitate expansion of a Planting for Food and Jobs policy.
With the yield, with the help of the Planting for Food and Jobs, I will tell you, we have jumped very high from the previous 3.8 tons per metric ton to some of the farmers are even having, with the average of 4.5 tons. Because some have got up to 5 tons, some have got up to 5.2 tons per hectare. But if they continue just importing without knowing the quantity that is being produced in the country, that's why we always have a problem. So we are telling the government to at least assist our farmers by reducing the importation so that our locally produced perfume rice will go faster for the farmers to continue in production.
Deputy Minister of Agriculture George Boahen says his ministry is looking to address challenges confronting the Planting for Food and Jobs policy and promises a decline in prices of foodstuff.
There were some people who were manipulating the system. So we have identified what to do this season. And another one was the late arrival of the inputs. In fact, some of them were saying the fertilizers and the seed came late. So this year, we've decided that it will get to them on time, especially last month, that was December. That's when the minister signed the fertilizer contract so that at least by February, it will be in time. With the planting season starts in March. So this year, seed and fertilizer are going to reach the farmers on time with a different distribution channel so that every farmer will have access to the seed and the fertilizer. So food prices are not as escalating as it used to be before, because there was a bumper harvest last year. Some people might have a few challenges. Fine, we will accept it and then see how we can address it, so that from today or henceforth, food prices will be cheaper than even what we experienced last year, for the nation to benefit.
One thing is certain: the Planting for Food and Jobs policy is faced with some constraints. But for many farmers, sustaining the policy will ensure a better food security. And this also means the country reduces the importation of food to the barest minimum. Henry Kwesi Bedu's report for JoyNews.